welcome everyone to this episode of Never Alone, Never Again. I'm Johnny, and as always, joined by Krista, the sober Barbie. And today we have a very special guest, an old friend from, you were around right in the beginning of when we started all this craziness. Jamie Tall, our good friend Jamie Tall. How are you, Jamie?
Very excited to be here. I think with the last show we did together was a couple months, so good to catch up. Almost like a year ago, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah, we
yeah.
started all this stuff a year ago, and it's been a roller coaster ever since. Never Alone Live. We've been doing that for over a year. We've done over, I think,
You were
six.
one of our first guests.
Yeah.
You're top five.
Yep.
Yeah.
You think you
She's
you
been
think
back a
we
couple times, so she's been back a couple.
you think we'd know what we're doing by now, and we still figuring it out as we go along, but we're having a good time doing it.
That's
Uh,
right.
Jamie, we got this is a whole new audience, so why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about Jamie.
Okay, well, I am in Athens, Georgia. So go dogs. And also I recently just found out like 3 days ago that we have a baseball team. That the Bulldogs have a baseball team. And they're actually going to the college championships. So not only is our football team fire, but now our baseball team, and of course the gym dogs and that too. But yeah, so incredible stuff happening here in Athens. And I am a massage therapist. I entered my recovery journey July 20th, 2015, after many, many, many years of making bad decisions and getting a very nice nudge from a judge, and decided to do something different. I have been through, dealing with issues, codependency, and worked through issues of domestic violence. I have, man, I work a lot in the human trafficking realm, trying to help women coming out of prostitution, human trafficking. Um, yeah, and I have two kids, 22 and 16. So that is incredible. So recovery has afforded me the ability to be a mom today and to have a my own apartment and my own car, and to be of service to my peers and my peers in the massage therapy community. And yeah, just serving people in recovery. I would say service is my love language. It's what kind of keeps me like in the middle of the boat, keeps me connected, keeps me sane. Yeah. So
So,
that's about
so,
it. That's me.
so you're in school, right? You're in school, and what are you going to school for?
So I just finished my first year, getting my bachelor's degree in biblical studies. So just going part time. So it's going to take me a little while, but yes. I always said if I'm ever going to go back to school for anything, it's going to be something that I'm super passionate about. And for me, that's Jesus and the word. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been amazing because I've got to learn, we break down the word with like the Hebrew and the Greek. And then we also learn about the culture and like the background and the geography and like the idioms. Like they have like their own slang, you know what I mean? Like all these different things, cool stuff. Um, but my spirituality kind of evolved before I had like a full understanding of the word. So now I just have like the scripture to back up my experience as like confirmation. So better for me to share.
Well, let's talk about that. So this is something that I've been thinking about a lot is the evolution of spirituality. So you've been sober since July 2015. So you're coming up on 11 years. And when you came into recovery, did you have this relationship with a higher power? Did you have the religion already?
So I grew up in a denomination that is kind of a little bit like one of these kind of check the boxes one. not saying anything bad about that religion I'm not going to name, but like I think they're amazing. There's amazing people in that, but for me, like I didn't have understanding of things like the spiritual aspect of it, like the fact that there was like a Holy Spirit that like I could confer with to give me guidance and direction, like to build relationship with. So like I had like a understanding and I had some very crazy supernatural things happen, where I got like delivered from some situations and some other things. So when I came into recovery, that kind of started to make sense. And through my steps, because I worked the 12 steps, and through my steps, I was able to put that together. So,
That's amazing. Krista's, your experience is very similar, right?
Yeah, and she's only 3 weeks ahead of me in the sober day. I love it. My birthday is July 17th, so you got sober a couple days after my
yeah.
birthday. But I can relate so much of what you just said because I came into recovery knowing God and being in a religion. So I'm like, okay, I'm one step ahead. I got 1 through 3. I could do this. But it wasn't until like years later, really like the spirituality like really clicked in, and I'm back to making t-shirts again. And I made a t-shirt the other day that said influenced by the Holy Spirit. So
Aw.
I mean, that's who we need to be influenced by. But
Yes.
that's I just love it because I can relate so much to it. And I know a lot of people who are going to hear this can relate probably too, or need to hear this.
Hmm.
And I love that, and that's the message, right? That's what, when we're talking about spirituality, I know when I came into recovery, I was spiritually bankrupt, right? And I know a lot of people who come into recovery who are the same way. I was raised in a religion that I was not a fan of. It was kneel, stand, say a prayer. You get great quads, but I did not have any sort of big spiritual foundation. I didn't. It was cookie cutter, and when I came into the program, it was very hard for me to find a relationship with a higher power. The rooms were my higher power for a long time, and then I got the spirit of the universe, and then some more craziness happened to where now I am a Christian and I am a follower of Jesus as well. And but it evolved over years. And so here's my question for both of you. So you've got Krista's coming up on 11, you're coming up on 11. 15 years ago, the 15 years ago, what do you think about, what do you think they would say about the version you are now? If that question makes sense. Would
Like,
they be like, "Oh yeah, they definitely you're," because the 20 years ago version of me would tell you you're a crazy person. Think I'm on a worship team? Are you crazy?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I couldn't even imagine my life like not doing drugs. So never mind doing anything productive or like having my own business or, anything like that. So, I mean, I don't I don't know. You know, I know like when I started kind of my relationship with God, which actually was in 2011. So that was 14 years. And like I had some supernatural encounters and I had some people who randomly came to me and talked to me like from God. And I thought they were nuts. I thought they were super nuts. um, but now I'm like, oh my goodness, they were right. That he did have a plan for me and I wasn't, gonna be stuck there forever. And I was gonna be working with women in human trafficking and like all of these things. So it was very wild. So yeah, between like the things that I believed God told me and then like random people coming up to me where God was trying to pull me out of the terrible situation I was in. I definitely didn't believe them. I was like, can you just drive me to the trap house? Like, what is wrong with you? That was my my response to them.
I
Interesting.
I would say you're crazy too, because that I could function without something to alter me. Like I literally needed some kind of, I called them glorified Tic Tacs, like mini pain pills or like Ultra Abs or like something to take in the morning to get me like revved up to go, or drink or something. I every single day I needed something, and I just thought it was going to be impossible to get off of it because I'd been arrested quite a bit. But I would say I'd never do it again, right as soon as I'm out, right back to it. And being from a resort area, you're from like a college town, so that's kind of like the same thing where normal day drinking and everyday drinking is kind of like normal. Um, I didn't think I'd be able to go to a pool and not have a drink, or a sports game or a concert. And here I am with people like reacting to my mug shot. And I'm on a billboard about recovery. Like I thought I'd be on there for wine, like a wine saleswoman. So I just think it's really cool how much I or wanted poster.
That's what I'm
Um
thinking. I'm like seeing her face with like handcuffs and like DUI.
oh yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like her.
Uh
Wanted.
you know and it's like I recover out loud and so can you. So
Yeah, I love
I
that.
just I didn't know anything about recovery at all. I didn't know anyone sober. I didn't, and comes to find out I have family, like cousins and stuff that have a way more sobriety than me. I went and saw a bunch of them a few months ago, and I'm learning like they got decades of recovery. I'm like, oh, I never even knew. So, I love where it's taken me, and now I'm on my spiritual journey, and it's more than recovery for me. It's getting to heaven and taking as many people as I can, and it's a more of a ministry, and we're disciples, and um, you couldn't even tell me 5 years ago that my recovery would have shifted like this too. So it's cool.
Mhm.
It's really amazing, and I mean the okay. So my pastor explained to be a Christian is very simple. You believe that Jesus died for our sins and was resurrected 3 days later. It's believing in the supernatural, and even if that's the only supernatural thing you believe in, you're believing in the supernatural. And to believe in that is to believe in miracles, and to believe in miracles is to be now on the lookout for miracles. And that's one of the best things about recovery is watching the miracles happen all around us all the time. So, and I'm telling you, Jamie, you talk about supernatural things happening to you before you found your calling. And I'm telling you, the judgmental jerk that I was, I'd have been like, that lady crazy, and would have believed that. But the open-mindedness of having a higher power, of being a Christian, has changed all of that, to where I hear people's stories now and it's like, wow, how come that didn't happen to me? So that's the thoughts on the supernatural, thoughts on miracles.
Oh, I mean, I hear about things all the time. I mean that okay, so where I go to school at, um, they have a Sunday service called North Georgia Revival, and people come every single Sunday. It's been going on for 436 weeks straight. And they have these healing pools, and every Sunday, people get healed from cancer, people get healed from anxiety, people get healed from psoriasis, people get healed from food allergies. Like I saw this little girl who was a cutter, and her arms, all the scars on her arms disappeared. It was incredible. Yeah. So I'm
We're taking
definitely
a trip to Athens.
I'm telling you, we need to go to Georgia.
you I'm I'm telling you, like it's the most incredible place. And you know, I mean, and those are pretty pretty wild miracles, but also like miracles of like seeing people who like, you know, died from an overdose get brought back to life, and then a couple years later they're married and they have a baby. Like that's a miracle. You know what I mean? The person who you never thought would get sober, like calling and saying that they want help, that's, you know, that's a miracle. But there's, yeah, I mean, I think especially in this season, you know, because there's a lot of darkness right now in this current season. However, there's also a lot of light and a lot of like glory. And I mean, I truly believe that like people in the recovery community have been like set apart by God for this time. That's personally what I believe.
I concur with that 100%. You know, it took feelings of uselessness will leave us, right? I felt useless. I didn't have a purpose. And now today, because of my past, because of all the things that I did wrong, I can utilize that and help another person. Now I have purpose. And you're absolutely right. That's alcoholics and addicts. We are given a purpose, you know. All that when we're questioning God, why are you doing this to me? Usually at the porcelain God, you know, why am I doing this? There's a reason. There is a reason, you know, and that's amazing, Jamie. I love this conversation so far. This is bringing heavy thoughts to my mind.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
what do you say? Okay, here's a question. I'm going to ask both of you guys this. What do you say to the skeptics? And Jamie, you were just on the hot seat, so I'll give I'll give it you a sec. Krista, what do you say to the skeptics?
I heard someone say the other day, they're like, just try Jesus. Like just try recovery, just try Jesus. Sometimes it takes, like for me, I didn't open up my spirituality until I started working the 12 steps in that blue book. It was kind of like a guideline. And I was told it's derived from the Bible. And they gave me a life recovery Bible with that blue book. And it just, it, without that pain I went through and without that opportunity to heal, I wouldn't know there was something bigger. And, I wouldn't know about any of this. My life wouldn't have changed. And it's just to try it. I also believe everyone on earth should work a 12-step program, not just people in recovery. We all have habits, hurts, and hangups. There's always something we need to get through, and we're in this fallen world, and we need some kind of healing. Like our conversations are deep. Like the average person's not having this conversation at 5:30 on a Tuesday. Like it's a deep conversation, and I just there's so much power in healing, and you just feel better, and it makes me grateful for the bad times, which a lot of people feel a lot of shame and guilt and stuff for those bad times, but I look at it with gratitude, and gratitude multiplies things. So I just try it. Like what's it gonna hurt, you know?
Yeah, what's it gonna hurt? So Jamie, what do you say to the skeptics?
I mean, I say just like start out small because that's kind of like what I did. Like when I was like, what was I on? Was it step three? Like where you start like handing things over, and it's like, okay, we're gonna like hand it over. And so like I started with like little things, and I would kind of be like, okay, God, like I'll give you this. I'll give you this right here, and I'm gonna see what you do with it. Like I'm testing you. I'm testing. Let's see. And if you do good with this, maybe I'll give you something else. So starting out small, you know what I mean? And then like opening up your step work like to God, if you are doing step work, you know what I mean? Like like I'm like, okay, like I'm powerless over these things. Like, God, these are the things I'm powerless over. Like, just, you know what I mean? You're just like conversating, like, because you're like building relationship, right? It's like you say, like, if you like have a best friend and you never talk to them, you're probably not going to be best friends, you know? Right? The same they say with like a spouse. I don't know what that's like, but significant other, whatever. I don't know. I don't anyway, but yeah. Having opening up that conversation, being willing, being open-minded, just I mean, like you said, like what do you have to lose? Like, and it doesn't even have to be to like Jesus, like, you know what I mean? You just be like, hey, like something up there, something that made the sky, or like, you know, made leaves and trees and whatever. Like, I mean, whatever that looks like, whatever people want to call it, you know what I mean? Like at first, because the biggest thing is to like open up to something. And I don't knock anybody that uses a doorknob. I mean, that's fine if that's what you want to do. Um, but another person also is good, right? Because I believe God speaks through other people. And that was something that I noticed in the rooms, was that when I was in these rooms, God was speaking through other people.
And here's a few
So,
words from our sponsor, Never Alone Recovery.
Never Alone Recovery is a resource center for anything addiction or mental health. We are a toll-free number. Feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 855-831-9996. This is available for someone who's suffering, also parents of those who are suffering, colleagues, whoever. Feel free to call at any time. Krista, what else do we have?
We host 5 free Zoom meetings a week, recovery meetings. We host a recovery TikTok live every morning, and you can find us on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and all of it will be in our
people.
description.
So,
We were all closed-minded at some point. We've all been closed-minded, and in asking the question, what do we say to the skeptics? That's basically asking, how do you open someone's mind? And I can't speak for anybody else, but myself, it was that gift of desperation, that lowest of lows, when I hated myself more than anything in the world, that I had to potentially open my mind to some other way, some other form. And they talk about the faith of a mustard seed, right? And in this day and age, most people actually, if there's anybody under the age of like 30, they're probably saying, what is a mustard seed? And a mustard seed is literally it's this little big, and it blossoms. The faith of a mustard seed, you have that little bit, and then you start working and things get a little better, and that faith grows and grows and grows and blossoms until I close my mind to it. And that's another thing that happens. And again, only speaking for myself. We get some time in the program, right? We get sober for a while, and the mind closes a little bit to new things, because we're good. We're good. What else do we need, right? And maybe it's not closed-minded. Maybe, we were talking about this before, but it was the stagnation. How do we stop stagnation? How do we continue to evolve? That's kind of something that I think everybody needs to talk about at some point, because it's ebbs and flows. At 6 years sober, I stagnated, and then God threw 7 sponsees at me like in the same week, and boom, next thing you know, I'm super into recovery again. And then at year 15, stagnation, and then boom, it popped again. And then year 21, boom, it popped again. Here I am now with some crazy blonde hair lady making me go on the TikTok every day. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about stagnation, because between the three of us, we've got 40 plus years sober. How do we slow stagnation?
for me, it's like always wanting to better myself, whether that be career wise, um, whether that be learning, um, even like different kinds of like volunteer stuff, like service work or whatever. Like yeah, we have service work like in our meetings, and we have service work in other parts, whether it's like going into like the hospitals or jails or whatever, which is awesome. So yeah, like growing that way, like in your service work, and like I do this thing like once a month. It's called like motel ministry, and it's amazing. It's amazing because you like go and you go with this like group of people, and you like knock on doors. So we go to an area that is not great, um, in Atlanta-ish area, and we knock on the doors at Saturday at 9 a.m. And we're like, give them like coffee and breakfast, and like then see if they need prayer, see if they want to talk about anything, if they need any services. And then we have little like kid bags or whatever, Bibles, and then we have like a makeup bag to give to like women if we see like a situation where a woman may be like, in a situation that she needs to get out of, with a little makeup bag with a little card in it that has a little phone number. So like something like that to me, I was terrified the first time I went. Like I was like, I've been in these kind of motels and I would not open the door, you know? So like trying new things, you know what I mean? Definitely trying new things, and just always trying to grow. You know what I mean? Don't get stuck in like the same stuff, you know? Go, what do they call it? Stretch. Hmm.
Well, hang on. Okay, let's go. I want to back up for a second because I want to hear a little bit more about this. I've never heard this. You called this motel ministry. And I can only imagine some of the stories that you have from this. I mean, I'm sure you get doors slammed in your face.
Um, Honestly, rarely. A lot of people that are hurting, that are willing to share what's going on in their lives.
Well, they're
So,
probably all looking for some sort of help. They know they're in a bad place. They don't know how to get out of it, and so they're probably open to conversations. It's are they open to solutions? Have you been able to
right.
help people for real?
Yeah. Yeah, we've been able to help people, definitely. But mainly it's usually the same people that are in these, um, but we've gotten some stuff shut down, that's for sure.
What do you mean?
Absolutely.
What have
Shut
been
down.
shut
Like
down?
some stuff shut down, like for, women who are being trafficked and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's amazing. That is truly God's work right there.
Yeah.
See, now
Yeah.
That's
this
I
is
cool.
love
And
it.
Atlanta ain't no joke either.
Mm-mm.
That's a
No.
that's a wild city. Wow, I love
see,
Yeah.
that so much.
see, this is the problem. See, you'd say some good stuff like this. Now, Krista, I know her, and she wants to go beat down some motel doors right now. And Krista, she
If
goes
I
with a
had a
big group.
team, like if I had a group of people, I
Really?
would definitely, I can't wait. One of my best friends is just celebrating 19 years sober, and she's a preacher. She's evangelist. She goes out there. She goes out to the places that no one wants to go to to help people. And I can't wait to tell her about this. She's we're gonna be
Yeah.
maybe going to some motels. But
Yeah.
I would
Let
definitely, I mean, Brandy would love this.
let me know.
See, see, this is,
Let
I
me know.
mean, I'm telling you, this is like good influence turning into bad influence right here. This is, you're
No,
doing
this is
something
good. It's all
good.
for the
And
good. It's all for the good.
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. This is phenomenal. This is amazing. That's a
Yeah.
truly amazing work. And okay, so the question, stagnation, you basically said stretching is big, and I'm a big believer in saying yes. We have to say yes. A year ago, when I was less than content, and and somebody said, "Hey, let's go on TikTok for 10 minutes and read the daily reflections," and I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And 10-minute little thing turned into 2 hours every day, and it's truly awakened something inside of me, and I don't think my recovery's ever been stronger. Is it overwhelming sometimes? Yes. Is it a lot? Some days I need a nap afterwards because it's we have some intense conversations. But man, it is, we're talking about stagnation. How do we stop? We got to say yes to some stuff,
Hmm.
there's, we talk, it's H and I love H and I chairing meetings, but we got to try some new stuff every now and then. And there's opportunities out there. You just got to say yes to them.
Yep, absolutely.
Krista's a troublemaker. She gets me into so much trouble.
He does
So,
that on
Well,
his own. But when you say stagnant, it makes me think of like sitting water that's been sitting for a long time, and like it attracts bugs and like can start to smell like just not good can come from it. So you got to shake it up. You got to shake up the water. You got to get some like current going, or and I got stuck around, I want to say between 7 and 8 years. And I was not really fully involved in AA, but I was working the steps every day and I was doing service work, but there was something I was stuck. And I think being so closed-minded, and I don't think closed-minded was a choice for me. I just didn't know. I didn't know what was out there. And I think that's why I'm so loud in what I do and what I talk about and what I share. Because I wish someone was doing it for me. It took me like stumbling across like a faith-centered 12-step program that like changed the whole direction of my recovery and everything. And I just didn't know. I didn't know Celebrate Recovery was a thing. Like I had no idea. And then I ended up doing a different program kind of like it, but um that's what really shook it up a lot. And now I am in the word, and I'm reading the Bible, and there's so much more. That blue book is very good. It's very good, and I'm excited to go see the history in a couple days, and the hometown of it. But that other big book, the Bible, has so much more. And the two of those, it's the I was hitting the ceiling. I didn't know what else to do. And now there's no ceiling. And I just am there's so much yet to come. And I think it was maybe just being naive and not really knowing. So that's why I'm just loud. And um volunteering and service work is a big part too. And just always, like Johnny said, like just saying yes and showing up for people and being accountable and just being that person I always wanted in my life, that I didn't even know that there was a person like that out there. Makes sense.
okay, so
Okay,
now
so now
we're gonna completely flip this. Completely flip from stagnation, because now I'm gonna ask another tough question. Is there such thing as too much recovery? You know, look at I love that. This is a good question. Krista made all sorts of fun faces. So, we see people online, right? And online recovery has become a big thing. And I think since COVID, Zoom rooms opened up, and now there's no more technology, and there's more ways of doing it. And I see people in live chat rooms for 10 hours a day talking recovery. I mean, it's kind of like overkill, So my question, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this, is there such thing as too much recovery? Jamie, what do you think?
um, well, I think that balance is something that's very important. I think sometimes when everything in your mind and focus, and you almost take like recovery as like an identity, and Um, and a lot of people say like in the beginning, right? Like in the beginning, that people tend to get very like enveloped in it and like and that's okay because in the beginning, like you probably need that, you know what I mean? But also, I mean, I think it's really important to have like I think of it as like a pizza, like a 5 slice or 6 slice pizza, right? And you can have like this much like recovery, but then you need like this much friend time. And then you need like this much like time where you're like, I don't know, maybe like doing a hobby, like something you like to do. You know what I mean? And then like exercise and then like work and then like sleep. And then like if you have kids, like parenting, you know what I mean? So, um, and another problem, that I see with it is that when people, especially people in the recovery influencer realm, which I have very much stepped away from, um, they have a lot of pressure on them, like a lot of pressure. And so, like, I see that people, recovery influencers, don't have like a support system specifically for recovery influencers because when you're online like that, like you can't go to Walmart without somebody stopping you. You can't go to, you know what I mean? Like, and what happens if like you get in a situation and like you use? And then what? Like your whole identity is gone. You're having an identity crisis, you know? So that's just like, something. And then also like, with the online, I'm just going to say like it's become like a business. Like the business of recovery, which is also another reason why I kind of stepped, because a lot of people wanted me to push things, agendas and things like that that I just didn't agree with, you know? And then people like not using our principles like being like online in recovery but not following principles like at all like tearing people down, being mean to people, bullying people, like all these things, like that's not what we do, you know what I mean? So it's just become like very messy. And so when you get so enveloped in that, you get stuck in all of there's drama and gossip and negativity. And that's not in our steps. Like this is nowhere in anything that we have learned. So those are all of my, those are all my rants.
No, that you hit the nail on the head on everything.
Yeah.
That's the asking the question, is there such thing as too much recovery? I mean, this is kind of it, and the influencers that are out there now, man, you nailed it. There's a lot of pressure. If you're gonna recover out loud, you kind of have to recover out loud, and I can't help but think of Macklemore. Everybody knows Macklemore, and he was sober for 3 years, and he slipped up, and he had written a song that was all over all the rehabs on the West Coast, and it's beautiful, and it's all about his disease and his addiction, and then he slipped up. And he had to start over, which is extremely humbling. But instead of cowering, he wrote a song called Starting Over, which talked all about his relapse, and it's a beautiful, beautiful song. And the end of it, and so I've never relapsed since I first got sober, and I use what he says whenever I go to rehabs and I talk to anybody who's relapsed. He says that in this song, Starting Over, if I can be an example of getting sober, then I can be an example of starting over. And I mean, that's a huge it. I think that that helps, but going along your point, not everybody gets that. Not everybody gets that. And there's so much with internet, trolls and people that are just so negative. And I see influencers that have relapsed, and then they're just thrown to the wolves, and it's heartbreaking because this is a person who has to still live. And I think that we all these people on the internet need to stop being the judge, jury, and executioner all at one time. There is one who has all power, and that one is God, and you ain't it. you know uh
Yeah.
and Krista's an influencer. Krista's been doing this for a long time. Krista, what's your take on all this?
And it wasn't by choice. It kind of just happened. Like videos just started taking off. I wasn't like aiming for that. I went to social media because I needed prayers. I was losing my husband to addiction, and it literally happened overnight. And then there was so much release and sharing my story. And then the people that reach out to me that will need help or just want to tell me their sober day because they're proud and they don't have anyone else to tell. And the connections I've made with people is my favorite part, or watching people connect. It's literally my favorite part. And you're right about that, about like people turning it into a business. And I think that's where people get lost and their recovery goes out the window, their personal recovery. Because we aren't about tearing people down. That's not keeping your side of the road clean, and that's not taking your own inventory. And I I just I completely understand with seeing people making it their identity, and I feel like I was close to that because it can get ahead of you. Like the numbers start going up and things are taking off and you're like, "Whoa, wait." And I had to take a big step back because you're right, that pizza slice or your plate, you have to make sure there's room on that plate for your life. I mean, I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I like to go do things. I don't want to stay doing recovery stuff all the time, but recovery is my job. It is. So that is a big chunk of um my plate there, but it's important for me to take a step back and enjoy life. And I see it on because I love TikTok. It's my favorite platform out of all of them, and there's a big like live community over there. And seeing people literally sit there for 22 hours a day. And I'm just like, how is this like how can you even apply this stuff you're even talking about? I don't know. Maybe it's trying to like white knuckle it and stay away from life, actually living life. But it can with the whole social media and stuff, it can very much so become an identity thing. And I mean, people do know me in my community of like the sober girl because I do talk about it and it is a big part of my life. But I want people to know that I am a safe place, and um, but being able to like shut it off is important to me. But it took a lot of work to get to that point. It did. It took a lot of work, and it's very easy with how the world works today to get caught up and all that, and it becoming your identity. And this is a good topic. This might have to be one of our
Mhm.
morning topics.
I mean, it really is. And I mean, all the online community stuff. Okay, so a program that you're working with a sponsor and all that stuff, there's traditions involved which keep the program together. Everything that we're doing online, all the Facebook posts, all the Instagram posts, all the TikTokies, all that stuff, it's all fellowship. It's like going to the coffee shop after the meeting, where you're sitting there and you're having a great conversation right now. This isn't a meeting. This is fellowship. This is three recovering people that are having a conversation. Is God involved? Yes. Are we learning something? Absolutely. But it's not a meeting per se. And I think that people get those lines crossed. And when you're thinking that you're in a recovery meeting by listening to someone talk about their experience during hope on a Facebook reel, that's not it. That's you're fellowshipping, and fellowshipping is great, and it's one of the pillars of recovery. But it's not a program, and it's not, it doesn't have traditions. And when I first got sober so long ago, before the internet craze, I went to one meeting. I'd go to a meeting, I'd be there for an hour, and then I'd go to the coffee shop, hang out for a couple hours, and that was it. Now, because of the ease of finding all this stuff, I mean, it's you're basically trading one addiction for another. And I've seen some of these things where it's like basically you're sitting at the bar still, and it reminds me of the bar, and it's just people talking trash, and not having any principles, and bullying and all the stuff. Are they sober? Yeah. Are they trying to live a different life? Sometimes. but uh uh but if in the wrong hands, it can be very negative. So I think people need to remember that. They need to remember that this is fellowshipping, and it's very different.
And also boundaries, like
Mm.
dangerous. Like these people have no accountability. Number one. Okay. So like I can't tell you the crazy stuff that has happened like between like people showing up at my massage therapy office because they were watching my YouTube videos to like I had some people who were like this one person who was like really trying to like stick it to me, you know what I mean? Because they were mad about something. And they tried to get my whole event shut down. Like called places that like I was speaking at and was like, she's blah 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 blah. Like, I mean, like so when you're putting yourself out there, remember people can find where you live and they will stalk you. And if they want you to do something and you don't want to do it, like they can make your life miserable. So like especially like I mean I'm not saying it doesn't happen to men too. I'm sure there's a lot of crazy women, but I mean, my heart of course is for the women, you know what I mean? Like be careful. Just because somebody is like in recovery or they have a platform does not mean you give them your phone number and you tell them like where you live and are posting like where you are every day or whatever. Because when you're in early recovery, like you're pretty beat down, so you want some like instant gratification, right? So we're like posting selfies, going to the gym, going to the coffee shop, right? You know what I mean? Like you're basically letting people track where you're going, and that can be very dangerous. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, yeah, this is where, we need to think. We need to be cautious. And we're talking about the internet. We're talking, I mean, here we are, and this is going to go out on YouTube, and this is going to go out to, on to a lot of people. People are going to see this. And hopefully they hear that. They hear, whoa, maybe I need to be a little more cautious about my posting. This is what this platform is all about, and we can joke, we can talk, but ultimately, we hope somebody learns something from this. And I think today's conversation has been brilliant in that regard. We've had this has been really big. And Jamie, thank you so much for coming and bringing it like you always do. That's it's one thing I've known about you since we first met. You get ask a question, you are going to get a straightforward answer with Jamie. So anybody who needs a question answered, even if you don't want the answer, don't ask Jamie. But this has been phenomenal. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Jamie, thank you again so much. We'll probably be back in 2 months. So Uh, so that'll be that. And then when's our next event? When's your next event? Are you doing any events?
Well, I am actually teaching all summer. So, I'm not personally doing any events, but the one of the treatment centers that I'm on the board of directors for, will be throwing some things and I'll be helping. So I'll let you know whenever that's coming out. But I am booked up to October. Like
Oh, that's
I'm teaching
good.
like
That's good.
yeah. Yeah, I'm teaching three weekends a month. Yeah.
Telling you,
So
the 20 years ago you would be very proud of what you've become today. That's for sure, Jamie. Thank
yeah.
you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will see you again next time.